Hello everyone, my name is Mrs. Shatabdi Banerjee, a faculty of Swami Vivekananda Institute of Modern Science, Kolkata. Right now I'm going to give you a small intro or a small lecture on economic reform since 1991. That means we are going to give a lecture on New Economic Policy 1991. So what do you understand by New Economic Policy 1991? Do you have any idea? Yeah. In 1991, before 1991, post independence, our our country was not was quite sufficient to meet every domestic needs, but it was not at all sufficient to meet all the international as well as improvement in the economy was of utmost important. So, Narsimha Rao committee, after their launch, in that committee, in that committee, the economic sector needs some kind of revolutions. For revolutions, this economic policy was formed such that it could make some kind of improvement which leads to the maximum social welfare, upliftment of the backward people, along with having a good strength over the market structure in the international domain. So that's why the first features or the first step that Indian government took in order to improve was LPG model. The main important part under the new economic policy is LPG model. In detail in our next videos we will be discussing about various things of new economic policy, what can be the other features like modernization, financial reforms, trade policy. But before getting into the detailed part, we will first of all understand a small part, that is the LPG model. What is that LPG model? L, P and G. L stands for liberalization. What is this liberalization? Liberalization means removing unnecessary trade restrictions. पहले क्या होता था, कोई भी कंट्री से जब भी कुछ ट्रेड होता था हमारे इंडिया में, देयर वर वेरियस ड्यूटीज और टैक्सेस वेर बीइंग इम्पोज. तो ultimately the price of that product while reaching to the end customer was very huge, very high. This what led to an increase in the price of the product, and because of the increase in the price of the product, the people were not consuming that product in comparison to others. So that is the reason the first improvement was to remove unnecessary trade restrictions. This was liberalization. Then we will talk about under this liberalization, we'll go into the detailed part of liberalization. What is liberalization? What are the things that goes into the liberalization? So removal of unnecessary trade actions from the economy and making the goods much competitive in nature in comparison to the other products of the same quality. ठीक है, तो this is called as liberalization. Next we'll have the privatization. Earlier government, P stands for privatization. What was happening earlier? Earlier the government was having a strict control over the public enterprises. So it was not working that much. It was not giving excess amount of it was not giving excess amount of development to the economy in general. So but still the government has to run that factory because it was government owned. So the government has to run that factory. Ultimately this led to a huge pressure over the government. So government tried to privatize all those public sector into the private sector, because of which pressure of the government got reduced, and moreover after the pressure got reduced also, those industry which were not fully working, those industries they had to move out from their Yes, those industries which were not fully working, they can move out from the market, and those who were working or little bit working, they were given full financed over and made a hugely developed industry. So this was the privatization. Next, and privatization, when it got a market hold, we went to the international domain. That means we got a market hold over the globalization. अब हमारे goods restriction के बिना restriction के अंदर आ रहे हैं और जा रहे हैं. हमारा प्राइवेटाइज हो गया, इसीलिए हमारे डेवलपमेंट भी हो रहे. इट इज़ नॉट अ बर्डन टू द इकोनॉमी, बर्डन, इट्स नॉट अ बर्डन टू द गवर्नमेंट. तो अब क्योंकि हम लोग एक लेवल पे आ गए हैं, इसके बाद हम लोग अब इंटरनेशनल वॉयज में जाएंगे. So we can have a trade, finance, production, technology, adla badla, investment, everything can be done from the institutional foreign investment. So it practically removes, or it has a free flow of knowledge, goods, people, labor, everything. So whenever there is a whole, when one country gets united with the other country and the other country gets united with the all the other countries, in total there becomes the globalization. So G stands for globalization. So ultimately L stands for liberalization, P stands for privatization, and G stands for globalization. Thank you.